Welcome back to another edition of Making a Difference for Kids, Politically Speaking. In this session, we're going to go to the Capitol with three of your colleagues as they visit their Texas representative, Donna Howard. Joining me today are Principals Lakeisha Drinks of Carrero Thompson Elementary, Eliza Loyola of Menchaca Elementary, and John Hewlett of Russell Lee Elementary, all from Austin ISD. Thanks for helping us out in our advocacy series.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a big deal when a constituent visits the Capitol office. You've most likely taken a day off to make the trip to Austin. So you want the time spent with your legislator to be beneficial to her and to you. So let's prepare for the visit. First, you need to make an appointment. If your legislator isn't available, meeting with the legislative aide over education can be very helpful. Legislative aides are often advisors to the legislator over particular issues. In our case, public school education. Then let's talk about the issues we want to discuss. Do a bit of preparation so you know the subject well and can provide your representative or senator with valuable information. Have your school story ready. How does this proposed legislation impact your school?
How can we make sure that we communicate our district story and the story of each of our schools?
One of the things I think is scheduling a campus visit and having our representative come and see our campus in person. I want to kind of address recapture as well in the way that it's affecting the infrastructure in the district.
Well, finally, we're ready to go to the Capitol. Let's grab our business cards and our camera or your phone and let's go. Good to see you.
Yeah, so
Three Austin principals.
Lakeisha Drinks of Carrero Thompson. Oh, nice to meet you.
Oh, and we brought you some.
Hi.
Hi, Eliza Loyola of Menchaca Elementary.
Hi, Eliza.
Nice to meet you.
I'm John Hewlett at Russell Lee Elementary School.
Hi.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. As we go back to our own communities and our own families, what are some suggestions or recommendations you have for our families to be in contact with you and make a connection?
It's a great question because I think it's really important that the families know that that they do have a role to play here, and making sure that we understand how the policies we make here at the Capitol are impacting their families. And it's also really important for legislators to hear from families that they actually represent. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we did is we created a flyer here that I'll be happy to share with y'all that you can pass along to your community, but telling people about ways that they can make contact with their legislator. Certainly you can invite them to have town hall meetings back home, and that's one way to do it. But just coming in person to visit if you can. Legislators, almost all of them have a district office back home. You can make an appointment and visit there. You don't have to do it when we're here at the Capitol. Certainly if you can come to the Capitol when we're considering legislation that impacts you and testifying, that's very a great way to make sure that the legislators are hearing from you. But it's really important that you help the legislator understand what issue you care about in a way that is succinct and concise, is truthful. Not that anybody would be not telling the truth, but sometimes when facts are taken out of context, if I went and used the fact that you gave me when I'm trying to debate with somebody and they had the fuller picture that showed that fact may have been correct out of context, but when you put it in context, it's not quite so much so, that would put me in an awkward position. So you want to be really clear. You want to make sure that you're credible in what you're saying. Be very specific about your own family and community and how things are impacting you. We love to know stories. We love to have anecdotes so that when we are debating on the House floor, we can say, well, back home I heard from Mrs. Jones who said that this is what happened with her family, and this is why we need to consider doing thus and such. It's a really great way for us to connect back home and to make our points. So, and the other thing I would suggest is when you share information, sometimes people will come in and they're so passionate about the things they care about, and I'm so glad that they are. But they come in with maybe a ream of work to share with us. And for one thing, I'm limited in space and certainly in time. I want the background information. Links to those would be better. But one-pagers are great because it gets the message concise for me, but it's also something I can easily carry around when I'm speaking to groups or when I'm actually on the House floor, to have that one pager that gives me the salient points that I can refer to is also a very helpful thing so leaving some kind of a one pager. Anyway, we'll share this with you, and you can pass that on to your community, and hopefully they'll find it useful, and hopefully they'll all take advantage of this, and by your leadership recognize that they have a role to play here too in shaping public policy.
Thank
I
you.
think you're going to be hearing from some parents and maybe some kids.
I know.
That's good too.
Well, I tell you, I had a great time visiting Representative Howard today. I know this is y'all's first time to visit a legislator at the Capitol. What'd you think?
Well, it was really great. I thought she was really receptive to our concerns and looking forward to having her come out for a visit.
Great.
I was surprised how many how-tos she really gave us. She gave us some very specific feedback on how to connect with our legislatures and how to support our constituency.
Super.
It wasn't as overwhelming as I had anticipated. She was very warm and inviting, and she really did give us a lot of good tips.
Well, super. I enjoyed watching you guys interact. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to join us next week as we have another edition of How to Advocate for Kids, Politically Speaking.